Deep into the quiet night, when the whole city of Alexandria had fallen into peaceful slumber, Cleopatra, the young queen of Egypt, stepped alone onto the vast and silent royal terrace. The air was cool and soft, carrying the gentle, refreshing mist rising from the Nile River below. Not a single disturbing sound could be heard, only the slow, steady breathing of the greatest river in the world, flowing calmly through the darkness. She stood there, tall and graceful, her light silk gown brushing gently against the cold stone floor of the terrace. Torches lined the edges of the palace grounds, their warm, flickering light reflecting softly upon the wide, dark surface of the Nile. The flames danced quietly, and their golden glow floated on the gentle waves like scattered stars fallen into the water. Above her, the night sky stretched endlessly, clear and deep, decorated with thousands of bright, unblinking stars. Cleopatra lifted her eyes toward the heavens. She was not merely observing the stars, she was communicating with them. To her, the stars were the ancient guardians of Egypt, the silent witnesses of pharaohs, gods, and thousands of years of civilization. As the true daughter of the Nile, she felt a deep, unbreakable connection with every corner of this land. She listened to the faint lapping of the river against the riverbanks. She breathed in the cool, earthy scent of water and soil. She felt the gentle night wind caress her face, just as the Nile had caressed the shores of Egypt for thousands of years. In this profound stillness, she understood her destiny. She was not just a ruler. She was part of the river, part of the stars, part of the eternal, unchanging soul of Egypt. Her heart was filled with a quiet, solemn love. It was not the excitement of power, nor the passion of fleeting emotion. It was a deep, calm, endless love for the land that had raised her, for the river that nourished her people, and for the ancient, mysterious legacy that flowed within her veins. Under the wide night sky, by the endlessly flowing Nile, Cleopatra stood in peaceful silence. Time slowed. The world grew still. And in that sacred moment, the queen and her land were one. As the night deepened and the palace halls grew quieter still, Cleopatra slipped away from the world of crowns and politics, into the most sacred sanctuary of the ancient world, the great library of Alexandria. This was not a place of power, nor a place of ceremony. It was her refuge, her quiet home, the only space where she could lay down the weight of being a queen and simply exist as a seeker, a thinker, a soul hungry for knowledge. The moment she stepped through the towering marble doors, a warm, ancient fragrance surrounded her completely, the soft, earthy, slightly sweet smell of thousands upon thousands of papyrus scrolls, dried and preserved over centuries. It was the scent of time itself, of wisdom gathered from every corner of the world, of ink and plant fiber and the gentle dust that settled only in places of deep stillness. The air was calm and slightly cool, designed to protect the precious scrolls, and it felt like a gentle embrace against her shoulders. Rows and rows of wooden shelves stretched endlessly into the soft, dim light. Torches and oil lamps burned low, casting gentle, golden shadows that danced quietly across the rolled scrolls, each one marked with delicate, ancient writing. The light moved slowly, as if afraid to disturb the sleeping knowledge. Not a sound could be heard except for the faint rustle of her silk robes as she walked, and the soft, almost imperceptible breath of the scrolls themselves. Here, Cleopatra was not just a queen. She was a scholar. She moved silently along the aisles, her fingers brushing lightly against the smooth outer surfaces of the scrolls. She could read and speak many languages, Egyptian, Greek, Latin, Aramaic, Hebrew, and even the strange, melodic tongues of distant lands. While other rulers concerned themselves with borders and battles, she lost herself in philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, poetry, and history. She did not merely read, she listened. She listened to the voices of thinkers long dead, to the questions of wise men, to the secrets of civilizations that had risen and faded long before her time. But within this ocean of knowledge, there was also a gentle, quiet loneliness. She understood truths that no one around her could fully grasp. She saw connections between nations, cultures, and faiths that her advisors could not see. Surrounded by more wisdom than any person in the world, she was often, silently, alone. There were few who could match her mind. Few who could speak with her as equals. Few who could understand the weight of knowing so much, yet carrying the burden of ruling a fragile, beautiful kingdom. In the soft light, she would unroll a single scroll and lose herself in its words. The outside world vanished. The pressures of the throne, the watchful eyes of the court, the storms of politics, all melted away. For a few peaceful hours, she was not the Queen of Egypt. She was a student of the universe, wandering peacefully in the endless, gentle light of knowledge. This was her deepest peace, this was her truest self, and in the silent halls of the library, surrounded by the scent of ancient scrolls, Cleopatra found a quiet, sacred comfort that no crown could ever give. The imperial garden, bathed in the golden glow of the afternoon sun, was a secret haven tucked away from the hustle and bustle of the palace. It was a place where fig trees stood tall and lush, their gnarled branches heavy with plump, green fruits that exuded a faint, sweet aroma, mingling with the delicate, clean scent of lotus flowers floating gently on the surface of the small pond in the center. The lotuses, in full bloom, displayed soft pink and white petals, their round leaves glistening with tiny droplets of water that caught the sunlight and sparkled like scattered pearls. She walked barefoot on the cool, smooth slate slabs beneath her feet, the stone's chill seeping up through her toes, a welcome reprieve from the warmth of the sun that kissed her shoulders and hair. Her feet, soft and delicate, brushed against the occasional moss that grew in the crevices of the stones, its velvety texture a gentle contrast to the hard, cool slate. With each step, she moved slowly, almost reverently, as if afraid to disturb the fragile peace that hung in the air, peace that felt both precious and fleeting, like the last breath of a summer day. She paused by a cluster of fig trees, her fingers reaching out to brush the rough bark of one trunk, feeling the deep grooves and ridges that told the story of years gone by. Above her, the dense canopy of palm leaves stretched high, their long, slender fronds overlapping like a natural canopy, filtering the harsh afternoon sun into dappled patches of light and shadow that danced across the ground, across her bare arms, and across the petals of the lotus flowers. The light, soft and golden, shifted slowly as the breeze stirred the palm leaves, casting moving patterns that seemed to whisper secrets, secrets of longing, of regret, of a beauty so grand yet so fragile that it felt almost powerless. She stood there in silence, her eyes fixed on the way the sunlight slanted through the palm fronds, how it turned the air into a haze of golden dust, how it gilded the edges of the lotus petals and made the fig leaves glow with a rich, deep green. There was a grandeur to the scene, the imposing fig trees, the elegant lotus pond, the warm sun filtering through the palms, but beneath that grandeur, there was a quiet sense of decadence, anise that clung to every petal, every leaf, every ray of light. It was the kind of beauty that felt like it could fade in an instant, that relied on the whims of the sun and the breeze, that could not last forever. Her mind wandered as she stood there, her bare feet rooted to the cool, her fingers still resting lightly on the fig tree's bark. She thought of the days that had passed, of the responsibilities that weighed on her shoulders, of the moments of joy that felt so fleeting compared to the endless days of quiet longing. The fragrance of the figs and lotuses wrapped around her, a sweet, intoxicating embrace that made her eyes flutter closed for a moment, as if she could lose herself in the scent and the light and the silence. When she opened them again, the sunlight was still dancing through the palm leaves, the lotus flowers still floating gently on the pond, and the cool stone still beneath her feet, but something in her had shifted, a quiet contemplation settling in her chest, as if the garden's quiet decadence had seeped into her very bones, making her feel both alive and utterly helpless. All at once the night had fallen softly, like a veil of silk draped over the ancient city, and in the distance, the lighthouse of Alexandria stood tall against the dark sky, its fire flickering steadily, warm, golden, and unyielding, cutting through the haze of the night air like a beacon of last hope. The light pulsed gently, casting long, wavering shadows across the calm sea, where the waves lapped softly against the shore, their rhythm slow and mournful, as if whispering a farewell to the day that had passed, to the moments that would never return. She lay quietly on a gilded couch, its fabric soft and sumptuous, woven with threads of gold and silver that caught the faint glow from the lighthouse and shimmered like stardust against her skin. Her body was relaxed, her eyes half closed, as if she were already drifting between wakefulness and a deep, endless dream. Her hair, dark and silken, spread loosely over the cushions, a few strands clinging to her forehead, dampened by the light mist that carried the salt of the sea and the faint, briny scent of the ocean breeze. Her fingers rested lightly on her chest, their movements slow and barely perceptible, as if she were counting the beats of her own heart, each one a gentle reminder of the life that was slipping away, soft and unhurried, like sand through her fingers. Her lips were parted slightly, a faint, almost imperceptible smile playing at their corners, as if she had already accepted the inevitable, as if she knew that all the grandeur, all the glory, all the love and longing that had filled her days, would soon dissolve into nothing but sand. The lighthouse fire continued to glow in the distance, its light spilling through the open windows, painting golden streaks across the walls, across her face, across the gilded carvings of the couch. It was a warm light, a comforting light, yet it carried with it a quiet sorrow, a reminder that even the brightest beacons must eventually fade, even the strongest fires must burn out. She turned her head slightly, her eyes fixing on the distant glow, and in that moment, she seemed to see beyond the light, beyond the sea, beyond the limits of this world, into something eternal, something soft and endless. Her voice, when she spoke, was barely more than a whisper, soft, gentle, like the rustle of leaves in a quiet wind, like the lapping of the waves against the shore. She spoke of the days of splendor, of the palaces adorned with jewels, of the laughter that had echoed through the halls, of the love that had felt unbreakable. But her tone never wavered, never rose with regret or sorrow. Instead, it was filled with a quiet acceptance, a gentle resignation, as she told of how all these things, all the beauty, all the joy, were nothing but sand, destined to be carried away by the wind, to be swallowed by the sea, to fade into the mists of time. As she spoke, her eyes fluttered closed, her breathing growing slower, softer, until it was almost indistinguishable from the rhythm of the waves outside. The lighthouse fire still flickered in the distance, casting its golden glow over her peaceful face, as if embracing her in one final, warm farewell. The room grew quieter, the sea's song growing softer, and her voice faded into a whisper, then into silence, guiding those who listened, guiding her own soul, down into a dream as deep and endless as the sea, where all sorrows melted away, all regrets dissolved, and all that remained was the quiet, eternal peace of that felt not like an end, but like a gentle letting go.